greeting people. Today is Wednesday again, as I keep saying. Time and tide waits on no one, but I would wait on my peeps to make sure that the inside to hear what we have today. So let me start it one time so when you hear that sound, you all will know I'm on. Hi, good afternoon. Miss Angela, Miss Yvette, Miss Margaret, hi Christopher, hi Rena. Thank you all for always coming to locked on and tuning to what we talk the thing. It's always a pleasure and I'm most honored to have you all in my company every time I'm on. I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I'll honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, my elders, and those in authority. I'll be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds, and I'll strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country. I see Balti getting quick, quick. Yes, Balti, I see it today. Hi, Glennis. So let me start the ball are rolling because we have some things to talk. And I saw this, and this was a young guy who, hi, Miss Judy, how you feeling? Hi, Dandy, all you coming in, man. We have to talk, we have to talk. So I saw this and I found it to be so innovative. It's a young guy, you all may have seen it before. I hope I get it here, you know. You know these TikToks, when you open it up, it opening on one thing and let's see. It was open on something, right?
Okay, things stuff on thing. You can't give up, you gotta pursue, you gotta be consistent. Consistent. You know, like I said, Rome wasn't built in one day. If you're
why is Corey social media?
Yeah! What is this?
so let me story time.
Let me try this again. These TikToks will be easy, you know, it's all kind of things that's open up on TikTok.
A lot of young entrepreneurs, right? Okay, things tough and they tend to give up. You can't give up, you gotta pursue, you gotta be consistent. You know, like I say, Rome wasn't built in one day. If you love it and you know it can work, you stick at it. So, but everything is trying and error. Bruce on road, a lot of youths have a lot of ideas, but I think they're afraid to step out the comfort zone. And we're doing everything, you know, they're selling fruits, they're selling, I want it to be unique, different, stand out, you know? And I sleep and I don't know, pour this, bring that thought, boy. It's like, do this. Because I find that we should be first world. So this is first world service. A bad plan with proper execution will always overtrump a good plan with poor execution. Yes, that it can actually hold hot and cold, hot coffee. You want to talk like Batman?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
But it's just right and nice pick me up. Nice and hot.
Wow. Morning, sir. I like business and I love people. You know, although they're not purchasing, but it still made them smile. It It's all about positivity, boy. It's hot, eh? Be careful. It's very hot. See the business class people, you just know they like the coffee, but I don't want it. Every small stack create something big. I got a tip. Thank you. So there's black or cream and sugar.
Yeah, one time.
Yeah, it's happening too fast, you know. You want something?
Very innovative.
Thank you very
Now
much.
you have to get somebody on the side to sell some pastries.
Yes, you know, do something that you're comfortable and you go see people will love it. I always want to serve quality too. So I don't want to serve cold coffee. I always make sure I give in good service, good product. Like I want to do so much things, like more backpacks, you know, for carnival time events. That is it. So I go home, clean up, and well, go to work now. A lot of young entrepreneurs, right? Okay, things tough and things, they tend to give up. They can't give up. You have to pursue, you have to be consistent. Consistent.
That is a young fellow who found an innovative way to sell coffee. Everything is in a backpack and he has it there and he's on the highway selling. And apparently when he finished that, he still have another work. And his ideas came to him. So it just shows you that once we put our mind to it and we have that willpower and sometimes the support, sometimes your own support is your own self, but sometimes we have external support, we could do anything, we could be anything we want to be. So hats off to that young guy there. When you'll see him, purchase his coffee once you're a coffee drinker and give him that support. So I thought that was really nice. And it falls in line with the holiday being celebrated tomorrow, which is Labor Day. So in commemoration of Labor Day, I would have, just give me a minute, huh? I would have downloaded something that I will speak on because in the labor movement, you don't find that women are really celebrated as much as always the men. And I would have read to you all about Elma Francois. So now I'm going to read something here. So we just dedicate this segment here for labor, women in labor. So it says several notable women in the Caribbean have been involved in labor movements and activism. Examples include Alia Khan, who researched Indo-Guyanese women's involvement in labor disputes, and figures like Dr. Peggy Antrobus, Magda Pollard, and Nesta Patrick, who were recognized for their contributions to women's rights and social work. Additionally, women like Samintra, a striking sugar plantation worker, highlighted the historical struggles faced by women in the labor movement or in labor in the Caribbean. Examples of women involved in labor and activism in the Caribbean. So we have Alia Khan, as I said before. She was a researcher who has studied the role of Indo-Guyanese women in organized labor, particularly in the context of plantation strikes. Samintra, an Indo-Guyanese woman that alleged protest leader who was killed during a strike at Plantation Lenora in British Guyana, now Guyana. Dr. Peggy Antrobus, a Grenadian-born activist who now lives in Barbados and was recognized with a Triennial Award for her work in women's rights. Magda Louise Muriel Pollard, a Guyanese woman activist who also received a Triennial Award. Ms. Nesta Patrick, a women's rights activist and social worker who was a recipient also of the Triennial Award. Professor Barbara Evelyn Bailey, an educator and advocate for gender equality in the Caribbean, also received a Triennial Award. These women represent a large range of experience and contributions from grassroots activism to academic research and advocacy, all within the context of the Caribbean complex social and economic landscape. So that's just some women I'm sure a lot of us never heard about before in the labor movement who would have given from different countries, Guyana, Grenada, etc. Also, women in, I'm reading something here from the Trinidad Guardian. This was in 2012, and it says, for as long as the labor movement existed in Trinidad and Tobago, women have been involved, sometimes at the forefront. They were all represented in the front lines of the 1937 strikes in the oil belt. a significant turning point in this country's trade union history. Even before that, women held key positions in the Trinidad Workmen's Association, TWA, of the 1920s, which was led by Captain Arthur Andrew Cipriani. Amongst the women involved in those formative years of the labor movement were Eldika Alkins, a milliner, who headed the TWA's domestic section, Teresa Auger, who headed another women's section of that union in Port of Spain. Another of the TWA female activists was Barbadian-born Alberta Husbands, who was threatened with deportation from Trinidad for organizing a strike of cooks and house servants. Helena Manuel formed the Trinidad Cocoa Planters and Laboring Classes Association, and then joined forces with Hubert Carrington in 1927 to form the Trinidad and Tobago National Trade Union Center, an umbrella union representing laborers. Then there was a legendary Elmer Francois, I spoke about her on Monday, who together with Jim Barrett, Christina King, Bertie Percival, and Jim Headley, and others, formed the National Unemployment Movement, NUM, in early 1934. That organization eventually became the Negro Welfare Cultural and Social Association, NWCSA. So the NWCSA was responsible for the formation of 3 trade unions in the 1930s and 40s, 2 of which still exist today, the Seamen and Waterfront Workers Trade Union and the Public Works and Public Service Workers Union and the Federated Workers Union, now the National Government and Federated Workers Union, NUGFW. Ursula Gittins served as the president of the Civil Service Association that we now call Public Services Association. She was the first, I think, as non-executive president, and Ms. Baptiste Primus, paving the way for Ms. Jennifer Baptiste Primus, was our second woman president of the PSA. I think that was, she was the first executive one of the two, who until a few years ago headed a successive organization, the Public Service Association, PSA. The first and only female executive of a trade union has been in place in TNT since 1983. It is the National Union of Domestic Employees, NUDE, founded by late Colette Walcott and now headed by Ida LeBlanc. Today, however, women are not as well represented in the leadership of local trade unions, although their presence in the country's workforce has increased significantly in recent years. According to a study done by the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Trade Union, BIGU, while the growth rate of women in the workforce in the last 2 years has been significant, estimated at 30% compared to 9% for men, this is not reflected in their leadership and participation in the sector. I'll tell you, this was written in 2012. So of the 35 trade unions in Trinidad and Tobago, only 8 currently have women on the executives, and only about 1 or 2 has a woman in power position. So I think now we have communication workers that has one. We have the president of contracted, I think, is workers that is out there in South. That's another woman, and we have one at PSA. So there has been a slight increase, right? So it says here, most women are in non-influential union positions as trustees and assistant general secretaries. BIGU has continued. Unions do not discourage women from seeking to hold office. However, they do not encourage, nor are there any mechanism in place to support female participation. And there is also evidence of inequity within the labor movement. No, let me read that. However, they do not encourage, nor are there any mechanism in place to support female participation. And there's also evidence of biasness. But these Primus, who led the PSA for 12 years, said it's time to address the issue of inequity within the labor movement. One just has to look at the various executives of trade unions and to see what's going on, she said. A major part of the problem, she says, in a way, is women have been socialized to give way to men. And she added, it is a natural reaction. Baptiste Primus, who was the longest serving elected full-time officer of the union, serving for almost 25 years, said it was imperative for a woman holding top position in trade unions to have the support of family and friends. She said, if my husband was not a supportive man, I would not have had a marriage. Sometimes we plan something together and then I have to call home to say, love, I'm sorry, I have to go to a meeting. Being involved in the movement demands a lot of time. The type of sacrifices required for women to attain leadership roles are much greater than that for men. We are natural nurturers. Women have a tendency of putting others before themselves. Not to be ignored as well, she said, is the fact that most unions are run primarily by men. So there is need to reinvent the wheels as it relates to the structure of trade unions. And as I always say, while I may not agree with Mrs. Baptiste Primus' politics and the way she handles situation within the People's National Movement, especially within recent times, when it comes to her involvement in labor, I give her flowers for that. If I would have mentioned NATUC, that's the umbrella body of trade unions. That's the only recognized umbrella body of trade unions in Trinidad and Tobago, and that was formed and created by women. SWWTU, woman. NUGFW, woman. So a lot of women would have done a lot of things in labor that sometimes they are not spoken about. JTAM is not the recognized umbrella body for unions in the country or even in the Caribbean. That is something that they made up. The umbrella body for all unions is NATUC. So let me continue. So this book is called Rebels at the Gate. It's a book about OWTU and George Weeks. The author is Dr. Godfrey Vinson. I'll just read a little part from it because it is in commemoration of Labor Day, which is tomorrow. By the 19th, this is page 8, the last paragraph. By the 1930s, two radical organizations, the Negro Welfare, Cultural and Social Association, NWSCA, and the British Empire's Workers and Citizens Workers Home Rule Party, emerged to advance the interests of the Trinidadian working class against British colonial rule. The Negro Welfare, Cultural and Social Association, that originated from the National Unemployment Movement, NUM, was founded in 1934 by Elmer Francois, Jim Barrett, Christina King, Adelaine Harrison, Matilda Goodrich, and Rupert Gittins. This urban organization attracted a sizable number of women into its membership, and they were very active at various levels of the organization. For example, Elmer Francois occupied the position of organizing secretaries. Reddock asserted, so this was taken from work of, I think it was Professor Reddock. The organization took the position that women and men should cooperate in the development of their collective political consciousness. It rejected a separation of women into the women's arm or women's auxiliaries. Instead, the organizers incorporated both men and women in performing political activities, organizing workers in trade unions, working in cooperation and auxiliary activities, research and education, and social work. In terms of its activities, the NWSCA focused its work on organizing the poor and working class by mobilizing and organizing domestic servants and women, mobilizing members to support the anti-Abyssinian war agitation, stirring up support against the Shop Hour Ordinance Bill, protesting against the Masters and Servants Ordinance, and activating the celebration of Emancipation Day. In addition to these activities, the organization worked tirelessly to unite the oil and sugar workers, two distinct ethnic organizations that worked tirelessly, right, two distinct ethnic groups that comprise the Trinidadian working class. The NWCSA understood that the efforts towards decolonization would have been futile if it did not merge the aspirations of the urban African working class and the Indian working class that was centered in the sugar belt and link them with the goals of the oil field workers in the southern half of the island. Moreover, the organization played a critical role in the establishment of the Seamen and Workers Trade Union, SWWTU, and the National Union Government Workers, NUGFW, and Federated Workers, NUGFW, and the Public Workers and Public Service Union. As a working class organization, the NWCSA was instrumental in mobilizing and educating its membership, agitating on behalf of the working class on several work-related issues, organizing community activities, and working closely with the organized trade union movement. During the 1937 workers' uprising, the organization forged links with Tubal Uriah Butler and the British Empire Workers and Citizens Workers Home Rule Party that became an active participant in the push for decolonization. So that's just some labor history there, and I'm sure you would not get that on the platforms tomorrow on Labor Day. What you're going to get probably is a criticism of the government that was in office and a love for this government that we have here now. So the union movement have become a place where they no longer teach history. They no longer teach anything that, to me, is worthwhile to empower its members. It's all about them and power. And as you see, during the times that I was speaking in the 37s and to the 40s there, trade unions was not essentially a part of the politics, but they had other groups that would agitate, and labor would be a benefit from that. So it wasn't as you see like how OWTU have it and then MSJ, that is how it was. So although MSJ was a link to OWTU, it wasn't OWTU, the union, that was the political party. It was members from OWTU that formed the MSJ, and so that's how there was the linkage. That is what should traditionally happen, that not the union itself becoming a political party or party group, but they have a fund or an organization that is closely linked, but not with the executive members of the union. So I hope I was able to bring some history to you all. And yes, it was a woman who, well, I know that as a woman started the whole fight, Bacchanal, because police came us to lock up, police came to lock up Uriah Butler at Charlie King Junction, and to get him out of the thing, wherever it is, fight started. Here's a woman felt something, wherever, and it ended up when we had a policeman. Charlie King was burned at that junction there. So women have been involved, even for Carnival, when the Bacchanal started in Princestown, when they were coming to Port of Spain after, I think it's something Hudson, one of them colonial police or captain or whatever, they were trying to stop the Carnival. And big stone pelt and thing, busway hubs on one of them head and thing, that only Bacchanal start, and people got injured and all that, and that spread throughout, and that's how we end up with the Camberley riots, and it is enacted every Juve morning. So yeah, women have been very instrumental in getting things done. Even with the People's National Movement, the Women's League. Again, formidable women who would have stood up, education, teach about the history of the PNM, and how they're active, activists out there, campaigning out there, and that kind of thing. So yeah, women have played a tremendous role in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, the labor movement, and anything in general. However, I don't think it has been recorded properly, and what is recorded, nobody will really talk about it much. So as I was saying again, don't be surprised if on the labor platform tomorrow God's Fair, and if you hear they call you woman name, it's because I talk about it. Don't be surprised if they ain't call nobody name, no woman name, and only everything is about the men, and people just sharing and they talking about the government, and yeah, don't be surprised. Also, what is something that is disheartening that nobody let's pay attention to again. This was domestic violence in the workplace policy from the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. This was dated the 10th of September 2019. And in it, a small paragraph caught my eye, domestic violence and workplace policy. In it, it says here, domestic violence is prevalent in Trinidad and Tobago, with data suggesting that 1 in 3 women in unions have experienced some form of abuse. Yeah? You hear it again? Data suggested that 1 in 3 women in unions have experienced some form of abuse. Is that recorded anywhere? Are there reports made? Is there any? So again, we need to watch that. So let me continue. So I'm seeing in St. Lucia, I'll just read a little part. St. Lucia would have settled, the government of St. Lucia would have, hi Dion, hi Hazel, hi Lorna, hi Joycelyn, hi Didi. In St. Lucia, what we have here, where is it? Where is it? Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Right. The government of St. Lucia I'm waiting for it to load. This was in the Guardian. And this was yesterday. It says here, the St. Lucia government says it has successfully signed collective bargaining agreements, CBAs, with 7 of the 9 public sector unions and staff associations, which will result in public sector workers receiving salaries increases of 2% annually within the 2022 to 25 period. It said that the agreement will also cover the 2025 to 2028 period, with the exception of a 3% increase in the final year of the latter triennium. This agreement reflects our unwavering commitment to our public officers. It is a testament to what can be achieved through dialogue and mutual understanding, Prime Minister Philip J. Fair said, adding that the government remains dedicated to fostering an equitable, responsive, and progressive public service for all St. Lucians. The government described the signing as a milestone in the government's ongoing commitment to fostering fair and constructive relations with its public service workforce. It said the agreement was signed on Monday and signifies a significant achievement in a negotiation process that began in December 2023. It underscores the government dedication and engaging transparently and collaboratively with its valued public officers and employees, the government said, adding that throughout the past months, the government's negotiating team, GNT, meticulously engaged with unions representing various sectors, including the St. Lucia Trade Union Federation, the St. Lucia Correctional Service Welfare Association, the St. Lucia Police Welfare Association, the National Workers Union, and others. Their effort resulted in agreements that addresses both financial and non-financial matters aimed at improving the welfare of public servants. So I would leave it there. So we have the government of St. Lucia settling its wage negotiations with several unions for the period 2022 to 25, and also from 25 to 28. And it is saying here that it's a 2% increase, within the period 2022 to 25, and that increases annually. So 2% for 22, 2% for 23, 2% for 25. So that's 6%. Previous government offered For the period 2020 to 23, 5%. And also in the agreement continues 2025 to 28, that is St. Lucia, so it will be 2% for 26, 2% for 27, and in the final year, so 28, they will get 3%. So you'll work it out. So I'm just showing you how other countries do it. So we still await the UNC to give the CPO the instructions to commence negotiations of not less than 10% as a starting point for the unions who did not accept the 4%. And as I told you, there's a whole process that the PSA has to go through. It's not simply that they're going back and sit in front of the CPO. They have to go to the industrial court, take our matter out of the special tribunal because our matter is just sitting down there, not doing anything. And then they have to start to negotiate now for the period 2014-16. When that is out of the way, then we go to 17-19. When that is out of the way, then we go to 2023. When that is out of the way, there's a new period now because next year will be the end of another period. So we playing catch up. And as I tell you, I do not think Felicia Thomas has the ability or the skill to do the work that is needed to be done. But I leave that there. So let me continue. I'm seeing that in Tobago, there's a vision concerning the money that is being offered or given to the THA for their budget. You know, usually when Dr. Oli and Kamimba and they would have given the money, well, for the THA to run its affairs, there's always cuss and background and confusion that it's not enough. And now this government has given them less than they asked for, and they quiet this, they will make it do. As far as I understand, I could be wrong, that is what the Secretary of Finance for the THA was saying. Apparently that they understand the government, they understand. So I'm seeing here Tobago divided over 32 million allocation, how the 32 million allocation should be spent. And this was in the Guardian. What's the date of this? Oh, I know it's recent. I'm not seeing the date here right now. No, let me see. No. This is the 18th, so that's today. And it says here, Tobago stakeholders are divided on how the 32 million mid-year supplementary allocation to the Tobago House of Assembly, THA, should be spent. But they all agree one thing, it's not nearly enough. But I hear them cussing. Each sector is now lobbying for support, ranging from debt settlement to tourism revitalization. Chairman of the Tobago arm of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Curtis Williams, said the business community welcomes the allocation, but insists it must be used wisely. We hope that goes directly, that's what they say, and we hope that goes directly towards urgent development and infrastructure priorities, Williams told Garden Media. We know for sure that there were cash flow challenges in meeting obligations to service providers and suppliers, especially those impacted by the oil spill. He said contractors owed millions are still waiting to be paid. And while the 32 million isn't enough to settle all debts, it should be used to address some of the more manageable ones. Williams said the Chamber will continue advocating for larger allocation in the national budget. He also called for greater support for small and medium-sized businesses still struggling in the aftermath of COVID-19. But the THA Minority Leader, Kelvin Morris, described the allocation as a national insult. He pointed out that 32 million represented just 1% of the 3.143 billion in mid-year spending by central government. Tobago only received 1% out of every dollar being spent nationally, Morris said in a press conference. And we are told this is the best relationship Tobago has ever had with central government. If this is love, I wouldn't want to see their hate. He accused the Tobago People Party, TPP, and its leaders of staying silent, even though the islands is receiving less under this government than it did under the PNM. Morris noted that Tobago received 100 million in the 2022 media review and 50 million in 2024. Really? And now they're getting how much million here? 32 million. A drop from 50 million and they silent, Papa. Yeah. He also questioned whether the 32 million would go towards development or simply to cover arrests for THU officials. Meanwhile, Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association President Reginald McLean is hoping a significant portion of the funds is allocated to tourism. He said that while 32 million was a small sum, any investment into tourism right now could help seal major deals that brings more visitors to the islands. We need that funding to help us secure projects and partnerships that can bear fruits quickly, McLean said. Tourism has the potential to stimulate several other sectors, but it won't happen if the industry continues to be underfunded. The THA is expected to present its own budget on Monday. You see how well behaved it does be under UNC? Not a dog does bark, but then they just say the PNM, under the PNM they can't talk. They get less money, 32 million. PNM they give them last thing, 50 million. Hey. And all the balling to go make it work. All the good years. All the good. Or it good. Which one? All the good or it good? So I see this here from Ansel K. Dennis, who is the head of the PNM Tobago. It says here, media reviews, let's talk Tobago. In 2023, the PNM government allocated 100 million to Tobago out of a 3.8 billion mid-year budget. In 2024, Tobago received 50 million out of 2.3 billion. Yesterday, under the UNC government, Tobago was allocated just 32 million from a 3.1 billion mid-year budget. Be informed today that this is the lowest percentage allocated to Tobago in the last 10 years. But somehow, this isn't called fiscal wickedness. Suddenly, those who once screamed about Tobago being starved under the PNM have nothing to say. And what about the two gentlemen we recently sent to Parliament? The ones who promised to fight and negotiate for Tobago, where are they now? Clearly, their outrage is selective, but Tobago deserves fairness and fearless advocacy, always, not just when it's politically convenient. So, like Tobago have nothing to say. Hi, Dr. Straker. Hi, Owen. Hi, Tessa. Hi, Diamond, Trini, Jewel. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Gaylan. Everybody. So let me continue. So you all remember I told you about the fight that it had at Holy Faith. Where it was Holy Faith. Holy Faith. Is it Pina? Cuba. And it was the wrong girls, some girls from a next school take off the uniform in the tights and jersey going down by the school while two talking to the security. This girl coming out, they snatch the wrong girl and they beat that dread. I hope that child has not sustained, other than the trauma, has not sustained any lingering physical injuries. So it's saying here, and to the family of both sides, I hope that good sense prevail even in these volatile situations, and that this matter is able to come to a swift end where justice is served in the legal way. So this was today in The Guardian. It said 5 students suspended after a brutal attack outside Holy Faith Convent. 5 students involved in a brutal assault on a Holy Faith Convent student in front of the school gates in Couva on June the 10th have been suspended. The Ministry of Education confirmed this yesterday, underscoring that acts of school violence are being taken seriously. The release stated, the ministry reiterates that it views all acts of violence, particularly those involving students, with the utmost seriousness. In close collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and relevant school authorities, immediate steps have been taken to address the incident. The ministry further stated the investigations were initiated promptly and the students involved are currently being engaged throughout the appropriate disciplinary channel. As of today, 5 students have faced suspension, while extension suspensions have been requested in keeping with established protocols. The ministry added that further investigation by the community police are continuing. In addition, the ministry has activated the student support mechanism. The Student Support Services Division has been deployed to provide counseling and psychosocial support to the affected students and wider school community. This ensures that any emotional or psychological impact is adequately addressed, that steps are taken to prevent reoccurrence. Police said on Monday that the students involved in the fight, who are from 3 other schools, could not be located at the addresses provided to them. Contacted last evening, an officer said no arrest has been made as yet, but investigations are continuing, so said Sasha Wilson. I am kind of confused because I distinctly recall the current Prime Minister saying this. This was in the Trinidad Express, the 6th of June, 2025. She said, expulsion, arrests for school violence. So how come they are suspended? It went in just in the PM, that is Kanoko Sabisasa, expulsion and arrest for school violence, the Sabisasa said. So I don't get it. What was all that about? Again, was that for show? Was that to show that I would say what is popular, what people want to hear? Because all of a sudden they get suspended and the school protocols are being used because that's what it's supposed to do. There's protocols in place. If you don't use the established protocols that are in place, you go about that will end up in a court matter. But that is not what the Prime Minister led us to believe, at least me. I thought any child caught fighting in school, if they have no suspension, is locked up by the police, expelled from the school, and you go to court for criminal matters, and you end up in jail. I don't. People that would still really do get China. I don't know. I want to say shout out to Bounce Up Central that usually run the We Talk the Ting. I don't know if I'm up, but I want to say again, thank you for the opportunity to be on your platform, and to all those who are there. They say that I don't engage with them is because simply I will be so hostile and really forget that I'm on Bounce Up too. So if I'm up on Bounce Up, I want to give shout out to all those who are listening and tuning in. Thank you all for the support. I will try my best to work it out where I can actually see the comments. So if there's any questions asked, that I would be able to respond. So big up and shout out to Bounce Up again. Yeah, I'm in charge and could say what I feel. Okay, right. Well, apparently. So we'll continue. You all remember the EMBD matter? Well, remember that was a civil matter brought by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and at the time the government was the People's National Movement. So it's not a criminal matter, it's a civil suit. And we were always saying if UNC get back in office, they will find a way to throw it out. That is what we were saying. So I'm seeing here in the Guardian today, EMBD board, a new EMBD board to decide fate of cartel case / lawyer or hyphen lawyer. The Incoming Estate Management and Business Development Company Limited, EMBD board, will have the final say on the fate of its ongoing multi-million-dollar cartel lawsuit against a group of contractors, former EMBD official and former Housing Minister and current Energy Minister, Dr. Rudan Munilan. This yet to be appointed board role in the controversial case initiated under the previous People's National Movement administration arose yesterday during the first case management conference before High Court Judge Frank Sipasad. EMBD lawyer Andrew Hunter, KC, said the new board will have to make several decisions on the case, including approving court filings and the costs associated with expert witnesses. Hunter said, I wish I could give an exact date, but it is government's appointment. We hope it will take weeks and be done by the end of July. It is not ideal by any means. Justice Sipasad adjourned the case to November the 24th for the process of the completed and for the EMBD to report back to him. However, Justice Sipasad expressed hope that the EMBD response to the defense raised by the defendant in the case would not lead to protracted procedural appeals as occurred before it, when transferred to him when Justice James Abu was elevated to Court of Appeal. These are the oldest matters on my docket. I absolutely have no intention of having them linger on without being determined one way or the other. During the hearing, Justice Sipasad also took issue with the absence of Munilal and other defendants who were represented by their lawyers. I'm very much not satisfied when I'm being told that persons have commitments that seem to obviate their responsibility to appear before the court, Sipasad said. Necessary arrangements are to be made, and unless there are exceptional circumstances, which the court should be informed of prior to the hearing, I really expected the defendants to be present, he added. The substantive lawsuit centers around 12 contracts for the rehabilitation of roads and infrastructure, which were granted to 5 contractors before the September 2015 general election. And I would not go on and on, but we all know about it, that because this is in what they call it sub judice, so I will only talk on things that are already out there. We know that it went before the Privy Council, and I think the Privy Council upheld Justice Abu's decision that there is something to be answered because it was cartel-like behavior in contracts. We know that the Honorable Minister of Energy, who was at the time Minister of Housing, he would have had to bring his submission before, I think it was Justice Sipasad, if I was not mistaken. We don't know if he ever did, but we wait to see. But I'm giving my opinion here. I am seeing where my opinion that something, and next thing you hear, the case gets shown. Because as I say, it's not a criminal case, it is a civil case. But if that should happen, what that will do, it will further erode, in my opinion, the confidence that people have in cases ever being settled when people, it is alleged, do things that are not within the law, and there is no end to it. So there's neither anybody found guilty or anybody cleared. It's just, you just get rid of it. So I don't know, we will see. We will see. So today I know part of the situation also in the parliament, because parliament is going on, and it is also going to come before it, the settlement of the threshold to access the Prime Minister's pension on the agenda. I just want to say from a Labour perspective, right? If they're going to make legislations to change, because that pension would have come out of the SRC's report that would have increased the salaries of over 900 senior public officers, including politicians, whether upper house or lower house, right? All politicians, and 900 plus senior public officers. So it's not just politicians. It was accepted under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, but what people failing to understand, whatever, in 2013, I think it was the same SRC would have come to Kama Prasad as Prime Minister and bought a recommended increase in salaries, and they were told it was insulting. Even the opposition would have agreed that it wasn't enough, basically insulting, and they went back with it and amended it, and after years it came back. And again, Dr. Rowley made the decision to accept. You could say he accepted because he was, you could say all that, but the point is, when he accepted it, 900 senior public officers plus and all politicians would have gotten increases. So I'm saying if it was accepted and persons already started getting salaries at that increased price, that increase in salary, the pension was also pegged to that. So if they're going to repeal that or make laws to repeal that, then they may have a challenge, because if the increases came out of the acceptance of the SRC report, well, then the salaries that all they're getting also should also be taken back. Who am I? I'm just giving an opinion. So I hope they don't end up with lawsuits over lawsuit. And that too could, if that is done, in my opinion, that could trickle down to public officers, senior, ordinary public officers who acting in posts. You're acting based on the fact that you're in the Competence Act and there's a higher post than you know, you just get to acting in it. And if you retire in the acting position, or you get, I think that is part of that salary there is added to your pension relief. Now it will be the same as when you were working in the post before. So then that could impact on that. These things that go, you see, in one thing, in my opinion, that's Stuart Young, get the money, that's all the business. But when you interfere with certain things that have trickle-down effect, and it might create more problem. So it's always better when you're doing these things, you don't think as one person you're trying to get at, and look at the whole picture, because you might end up in more problems if it is just left it so. That is my opinion. So that bill is there, and they would whatever and whatever and whatever. Right? So we can hype you. Yes, I am. With 100 plus listening, oh my goodness. Let me see if I could go across quickly and see if I could just give them a shout out personally, or they just bear with me. I really just please forgive me. I'll have to work it out where I am. Yes, so I want to tell, look them. I want to tell Miss Diane, Sherilyn, Marge, Larry, Marlene, Benji, Anna, Florence, Wayne. Thank you all for always shooting and looking. Sister Jenny, I don't like how Labor Day turned out. We're in a hot mess. Good evening to all on the live. That's why Marlene. Benji saying, is Benji just say that? Anne say, good evening, Sister Jenny, and all on the live. Hi, Sister Jenny, all on the live. So everybody giving a shout out and things. So thank you all for always coming to give me that boost and that support, right? Shah saying hi, good evening. Yeah. So I will definitely work it out where I can be able to chat with you all also. So thank you again, Sharon. Let me continue. So I'm seeing that somebody is saying, and to me this is hilarious, really hilarious. Hi, Nikisha. Hi, Legacy. Hi, Augustus. This to me is really ridiculous or hilarious. So somebody wrote an editorial, I think it is, and this was the 17th of June 2025. Don't refer to PM by just first name. That is why it's hilarious to me. It said there has been a noticeable increase in the casual reference to the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar as simply Kamla in both print and broadcast media. While informally it may seem harmless or relatable, it becomes problematic when used for individuals who have held or currently hold high public office. I read one more paragraph and I'm going to tell you how deceitful this is. So, titles such as Prime Minister, Opposition Leader, the Honorable are not optional niceties. They acknowledge public service constitutionally responsible and the dignity of office, referring to a national leader by first name alone, especially in serious political analysis undermines the office and may suggest a lack of respect, intentional or not. The Honorable is typically used in formal first references, official documents, and ceremonial context. For example, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, former Prime Minister, Therefore, Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa or Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, despite the context is being more appropriate. I will go on with this. Because I want to tell the person who wrote this. Let me see if it is there for the name. When did they say Rowley and Rowley? Only papers that is called Rowley and Rowley say and Rowley that is addressed by title. Because first of all, he has a PhD, so it's Dr. Rowley. He's not a medical doctor, but he is a volcanologist. Did I say anything? When they had the head rest on top of a lump of feces and all kind of thing, that was all their problems with that. When they call PNM people ministers by the name, all they have a problem with that. But all this studying how people call the Prime Minister Kamala, all they go deceitful. It's not that she in office, all they know it's disrespectful to call she by her first name. It don't sound good. Eh? It don't sound good to say Kamala, but it was okay to say Rowley. Right through a man who has his doctorate. Well, all they good in this place, yes? Let me continue. The Homeland Security. What do we have in Homeland Security here? Homeland Security. I really hope that when the Honorable Roger Alexander, Minister of Homeland Security, addressed, let's see who he was addressing. This is in The Guardian. Today, Homeland Security Minister prefers bulletproof vests over body cams. While Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara wants to bolster public confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, something that can be achieved with the use of body cameras, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander says he prefers that officers get bulletproof vests over the devices. Alexander was speaking with reporters following the historic handover of the TTPS leadership from former acting top cop Junior Benjamin to Guevara at the Police Academy, St. James, yesterday. The event featured a performance by the police band and a ceremonial march, along with tributes from the TTPS K9 unit, mounted branch, and motorcyclists in honor of Benjamin and Guevara. 2 days before, Alexander told the Standing Finance Committee that government needed $25 million in supplemental income for the TTPS to fund 3,000 body cameras as part of the higher figure of $119 million for the service. He also said there are currently 970 cameras in use by the TTPS. Despite this approval, Alexander yesterday said, "My thing would have been to encourage bulletproof vests before body cams, and I'll tell you why. We need to protect the officer in the line of duty, and he must feel that he's being supported and protected before he is able to go out there and really perform his duty." He added, "What are you going to put the cameras on? Answer that for me. All the bulletproof vests are outdated. Are you going to stick the camera in your jersey? So show the officer that you care about his life and that of his family because he supports his family. Show him that you care about him." However, he acknowledged the importance of body cameras in helping officers prove they're innocent while also building public trust that their actions are accurately represented. The minister said while government is prepared to allocate significant resources to the TTPS, it will also monitor how they are used to ensure value for money. Speaking earlier during the ceremony, Alexander praised Benjamin for exemplary and dedicated service. He also emphasized that Guevara's appointment was more than symbolic, as it is also backed by the executive commitment to equip and support the TTPS during, he described, at trying times. The nation, the people of this nation are watching, and most importantly, they are depending on you, he said to the new top cop. Alexander also outlined a checklist of priorities he hopes Guevara will address chief amongst them restoring public confidence in the TTPS. But isn't that what Guevara said? To help to restore confidence in the public that the police officers should have body cams? I urge you to strengthen the service professionalism, restore public confidence, and champion the innovation in policing. We want you to build bridges with the service and between the service and the society we serve, he said. Let your tenure be marked with unity in the ranks, modernization of police approaches, the uptick on the solve rate, a downward trend in reports of police complaints authority of errant officers, and justice in a reaction. Alexander, former police officer himself, also urged police officers to stand with the commissioner, calling them guardians of democracy, protectors of space, symbols of hope to every citizen in the republic. He also said Wayne Meister's appointment as deputy commissioner will be addressed in the House. He said while the formal motion was delayed in the House last Friday, the acting role has already been fulfilled in practice. I am just saying to the Honorable Minister of Homeland Security, Honorable Roger Alexander, why can't they have both? Why can't they have the bulletproof vests and the cameras? That is one way to help secure confidence in the police service, protection for the police officer who might get himself in a situation that could clear his name and everybody can see what happened, while the bulletproof vest again is to protect. Why they can't have both? Why it have to be one over the other? I'm just asking. So let me continue. So I am seeing here that the Honorable Senator Satyakama Maharaj, Minister of Trade, Investment and Tourism, met today with acclaimed panelist, entrepreneur, and cultural ambassador, Mr. Johan Chokri, to discuss opportunities for collaboration in promoting Trinidad and Tobago cultural tourism offerings. During the meeting, Minister Maharaj explained strong support for greater collaboration between government and the creative industries, noting the steelbound role as both cultural emblem and a vehicle for tourism promotion. The minister also reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to supporting creative entrepreneurs and strengthening the synergy between culture and tourism. The Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism looks forward to continued engagement with stakeholders across creative sectors to advance sustainable tourism and extend Trinidad and Tobago global reach. Mr. Johan Chokri has done human service when it comes to the pan culture, but he's not the only one. Why only him? And when you talk about steel pan, where is Pan Trinbago? Where is Mrs. Beverly Ramsey-Moore, the president of Pan Trinbago? Is it that this government is not going to fulfill the commitment of the last government to help with the building of the Pan Trinbago headquarters down in Port of Spain? Because that is a tourism drive, because coming out of that, a Pan theater, the tourists coming right there, Pan museum, businesses rented out, so they have a space also for business. That is entrepreneurship, and that is cultural tourism. So where's that? But again, to the Honorable Satyakama Maharaj, how come you all are not using the steel pan emblem on the coat of arms? Where's that? So you see, we have to look and see these things and ask questions. Again, I have no problem with Johan Chokri, very talented panelist, but there are other talented panelists. In fact, we just had Junior Rogero, I think that's his name, who made the world Guinness Books of Record for having been the only person to have played the steel pan for 30-something, whatever hours. We have those guys from, All Stars. We have people from Renegades and all other pan sides who are talented and dressed as good and have been touring and that. I think when it starts, so to me, it does look a kind of one-sided. That's just my opinion. But okay. Okay, who am I? Who am I? So let me get to something here that needs to be addressed. As I say, what the elephant in the room? This is not an elephant. This is Jenny in the room. So there are two lovely ladies who me have no problem with. Me can start a cuss with them. Them is cuss but self. Them had the green cussing. I have a primary school certificate. Me can cuss like that. So I understand they cussing me out on their lives. Me I have a problem with that because they're doing social media. People don't agree with you, they say whatever. I don't have a problem with them thing. My only issue does come to accuracy in conversation, right? And I don't mind whoever they support, right? They're free to support. They're free to support whoever they want to support, just like me. I'm free to support whoever I want to support. At the end of the day, it's P&M. I'm not an executive member, I'm an ordinary person. And me alone saying that I think that the opposition leader, political leader, is weak. People taking offense to that. I continue saying again, I say those things because I don't know anything of her record in politics. The few people I work with and whatever, they ain't say anything encouraging. People who know her from the Arima area, years growing up, whatever, they may say nothing encouraging. I don't have to call the people name. So I'm always asking, send me whatever you all have so I could read it out. What did she do in the UN? She was there, posted there. What bills she think, what she represents, like for instance, Ms. Beverly Ramsey Moore would have stood before the United Nations, would have spoken about the steel pan, and also that guy who was the Minister of Tourism, Randall Mitchell. He would have also gone to the UN and he would have pleaded case for the steel pan, the economic benefits from it, the historical, the cultural, and all that. And we have World Steel Pan Day celebrated every, I think, the 11th of August, if I'm not mistaken. And also we have the pan being declared as the national instrument at Trinidad today. So tell me something. So I will say it on my life. I will say, this is what she did, whatever. But nobody has been able to furnish me with anything, just simply to say that she's nice. I don't deny that. I met her up in last year in Bushline. I take picture with she and thing, and I saw man, I meet she up already in Emancipation Day. And I was introduced to her. Me, I have no problem with the woman. But now she is the political leader and opposition leader of the People's National Movement with a 12-member team that is greatly diminished going up against the UNC. Half of them talking a pack all kind of thing, but nevertheless, they're in government now. And they could have all kind of reasons why the P&M lost the election April the 28th. Until there's a comprehensive report and analysis done that we could read from it, everybody just have an opinion, just like myself. It's because of this, because of that, they feel it's this. To me, it can't be one thing. It has to be a combination of things. So as I was saying, so they support Mrs. Penelope Beckers. I don't support Ms. Penelope Beckers. But not supporting Ms. Penelope Beckers does not mean to say I'm going to talk the woman and fight she down. It has nothing to do with that. My simple thing is, she may prove me wrong in the future when I see her in action, but as for now, I am talking what I'm saying. And I think that her delivery is weak. I think that she has a low energy. But some people like that. Not everybody like people hype up. I appreciate that, but I'm one person saying that. And I'm not hiding behind a profile or a name to say what I'm saying. My name is Jennifer Frederick, and I say that. I don't have no beef with the opposition leader or anything. She is what it is. She went up on a post, and my member of parliament, for whatever reason, choose not to put his hand in the race. Okay. That doesn't mean to say weak and he don't still fighting, still has his constituency members to fight for. He hasn't given up that. It is what it is. So as I said, somebody told me that they made some videos, did a live and was cussing me out. I was like, okay. But then I understand it was said that I don't support Kareem Marcel. And that is where I was like, what? So I'll tell you this. I didn't even know Kareem Marcel was studying to be a lawyer. I didn't know anything about that. I know his mom, but not like we are friends personally, but I hail out, I give her that respect. Miss Sherman, that's called Miss Sherman, no, Miss Wilson, that's called Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson, anywhere, see, she ting. And then a day she sent, I think it's a WhatsApp message I got, and I think I called her, or she called me, can't remember what, and she invited me to come down because Kareem was passing the bar. I felt honored. I remember having a yellow umbrella because I don't go nowhere without my umbrella. And I went down there because it was outside, so I didn't have to dress any particular, that kind of thing. And while I was there, they had gotten permission to have, they had a little, as Panis had come, they had the banner and everything, and the community came, friends, family, all that. And while they were waiting, I walked up the steps of Hall of Justice. And as I did, I said, hey, let me run a live, boy. So I ran the live and I started to talk to people who was around there. There was a lady there. She was waiting for her granddaughter who also would have passed the bar. And she was telling me the struggles that her daughter had in getting the granddaughter. And she's so proud she's down here. So I was doing little conversations with people and stuff. And that year, I can't remember what year it was, about 2 years ago, if I'm mistaken, about 2 years, about 2, 3, yeah. The amount of persons of African descent past the bar, I was standing there, so I saw it for myself because I was like amazed. I was like, but how do you say there's only one ethnic group who ever look at people, that kind of thing. I was there when Kareem walk out the doors of Hall of Justice, even before his mother and them see, I get a picture with, have him on live and all that. And I was there with them and I celebrated, I felt really good. Then we had the incident with Inshal Ishmael after that. Would have gone on his TV station and started to attack attorney Kareem Marcel. When I say attack in terms of saying, so what? If one person from Beatam and in Bamboo we had red doctors and lawyers, and we felt that, hey, he should have used the opportunity to say that Kareem Marcel should be used as an example that even if you come from a community that is at risk, as they call it, or ghetto as they call it, that you could achieve. Because attorney Kareem Marcel is not the first academic that came out of Beaton or Silas or Mova Lavantil or, those areas that they like to class high risk. So we started to call on radio. So I'm going to say me because the conversation was about me, not everybody else. I started to call on radio and all programs and all that, and I started to condemn what International was doing. I took my Facebook page, let me talk the thing, when I started to put together all the list of people, young people from Beatam, and because Beatam has Beatam has a pharmacy. And the person running, in order to run the pharmacy, pharmacists have to be medically trained. I went in there at time, Ms. Xavier, and they were going for somewhere and they passed through whatever, and I was amazed. Beatam have big Catholic church, Beatam have big store, Beatam have pharmacy, Beatam have grocery. So I started to promote those things while I promoting attorney Kareem Marcel and all the other academics that come out of Beatam, young persons, because a girlfriend of mine, her children, her son would have gotten engineering scholarship or something. So that is what I was doing. I showed my support there, and then after we saw Krokro made this song, what happened, International took him to court, and that was a whole next drama and all that. The situation, when he see me anyway, If we bounce anywhere, if I hug up auntie or I go anything, whatever the case may be. The situation with, at the time, Minister Fitzgerald Hines, that was all over social media. I did not get myself involved in it, but I watched what was happening. When Attorney Kareem Marcel would have been given the nod to represent Laventille West, I think it is, I was happy. That is when I said something. I said, listen, I am happy that Attorney Marcel, this young guy, got the opportunity to represent Laventille West. My only problem I had is the process and how it was done. I felt a conversation could have been had behind closed doors with all parties involved and worked out there. If it cannot be worked out there and it end up on social, well, whatever. But I just felt I didn't like the process because I felt it was disrespectful. That was my only conversation, but I was happy for Attorney Marcel. I was happy when he became an alderman also. So when he was given the nod, or even while that was happening, I called Ms. Juliet Davy. And I said, Ms. Davy, you think Kareem should get himself involved in politics? No, I say he's a young lawyer. He's at the chambers of Miss Elder. Can't remember her first name. Elder. I say, you don't think he should build his law experience first than getting into politics, because he could get into politics, win the seat, and then politics is a kind of thing. He could be there for 5 years, he could be there for 3 years too. And then if that happens, he have to go back now and start from fresh to continue with his law thing. The build up his law credits and thing now. She told me, she said, well, yeah, I think so, but that is what he wants. And that was the end of the conversation. I want to ask Oli, is that fighting down Kareem Marcel? Is that not supporting Kareem Marcel? The only reason I didn't call Miss Wilson and I did not have that type of rapport. And I felt it may have been kind of weird of me to call her to tell her that I know Miss Davy know them. They all grew up together. She know Kareem since he's small, auntie and all that. And me and she had a rapport, so I thought I would tell her. Is that all I find out is me not supporting Kareem Marcel? Any mother would do that, because I know when his mother called me to come to celebrate with them, it wasn't as a politician. He had passed the bar. He speak about how he sacrificed and his mom sacrificed for him to reach where he reached. So when I heard he jumped into politics, I was concerned as a person who was invited to celebrate with them when he passed the bar, that he might be injuring his legal career to get into politics. And if it didn't work out or whatever, he had to go back to that and he would have wasted all these years. That's what the phone call was about. So I don't know why Ms. Davy is making it. And I'm sure they're going to come back with a next video with tit for tat. And not a tit for tat, just responding to this conversation that I don't support Kareem Marcel. I don't have to support Kareem Marcel by going on social media and say, I support Kareem Marcel or anything like that. I don't have to do those things. If Kareem Marcel, Attorney Kareem Marcel, and or MP Kareem Marcel, because he's a human being like everybody else, if he does something, like I will do something and people are not displeased, and I speak about it, not on social media, not with Tom, Dick, and Harry, that does not mean, and I'm not saying that that's what I just do, I'm just saying, that has nothing to do with me supporting, because I can do everything that people will be pleased with me, he can do everything people will be pleased with me, but at the end of the day, that does not take away my support for him. So recently there was an incident between MP Marcel, Attorney Marcel, and another individual, because he felt that individual would have attacked him somehow on social media, and he would have responded doing XYZ, XYZ. I saw what he did. I didn't even look at the name good. I was seeing a Marcel and a K Marcel, and I was thinking it's Kareem Marcel responding to him. I keep asking, why are you doing this? why are you doing this? And it was explained after, and I still felt that was not the way, but I said nothing. I made no response. Coming out of that, I would look at my messenger, and this message was sent to me by MP Marcel, Attorney Marcel, June the 11th at 10:51 p.m. He would have said he stayed away from this pettiness and public internal pettiness. He stayed far away from this public and internal pettiness. He called the name of the person and say, all of a sudden that person started whatever. And when he did him nothing, and he went on to say something else, and he said he's contemplating deleting what he put up. And he said, I have loads of love for you and respect for you in capital letters. Huh? And that is where it's at. So I don't know where in that, as of June the 11th, 2025, Attorney Kareem Marcel, MP for the area Laventil West Kareem Marcel, didn't have a problem with me, Jennifer Frederick. He didn't feel that I'm not supporting him. He never feel like I attacking him. So I don't understand what this is about. I don't have to put water in my mouth to talk about that situation. He's a black youth. I'm very happy for him. He ain't gonna do, I'm sure he do things that he do. If he please him at everything, is me go please at everything. But at the end of the day, I could tell what I say and what I don't say. So where does conversation coming from? As for me supporting Minister Fitzgerald Hines during that situation, is Rasta. Me support him over anything. I said what I said. I didn't like the way how that whole situation played out with MP Hines at the time. What is wrong in that? But I said at the end of the day, I'm happy that Kareem would have gotten it because a young person, and that's what the PNR needs. But I could still say I support Mr. Hines by simply saying I didn't like how he played out. And I could still support Kareem by saying I'm happy that he get it. Why people can't be able to differentiate the two? So because Fitzgerald Hines is a Rasta, it means to say I take his side over Kareem's side. And because Kareem is a black youth, wanted to think I must take his side over Mr. Hines' side. I don't do things like that. I try to be as honest as I can be. I say my piece, I support Kareem. And I don't like the way how things went down with Mr. Hines. Kareem Marcel is not the MP of the area. I am happy about that. Then I would have said that I don't support Dr. Dolly Gaspy, Dolly, for the position. It's not I don't support the woman, no. For the position of lady chair of the Women's League. It's simply because of that. If it was General Secretary, this, I have nothing to say. I'm thinking about the Women's League and the importance of having a vibrant Women's League, especially in the times now that the PNM is in opposition with 13. That's why I'm thinking. It's about the Women's League. Me not actively involved in it, but I love history. I understand the importance of women. I read for you all about labor. And anybody who knows me know that is the type of person I am. I would have had interactions with the dear Dr. Darlene Gaspy. Twice I spoke to her. The first time, we were outside. Again, it had to do with the then opposition leader, now Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, who after hearing, 9 days after hearing Mrs. Camille Robinson-Regis, who, by the way, is the current, Lady Vice Chair of the Women's League. Women. And after calling Kamala Persad-Bissessar's name, her whole name, Kamala Shushila Persad-Bissessar, 9 days later, Mrs. Kamala Shushila Persad-Bissessar was offended, and she came out as usual in her style and started to talk about Mrs. Camille Robinson-Regis and talk about wiggy wiggy and fertility drug, and what wrong with my name? I have my proud ancestor in their name. Kamla, Shushala, Pasabisasa, where you are, Camille, you have a slave master name. We took offense to that. Even as David took offense to that. Because somewhere in the writings of Dr. David Muhammad, somewhere in one of his writings, he has spoken that the name that the slave master called us was the N word. They didn't call me Camille and John and Mary. It's always derogatory words they would say. Come here, boy, come here, and come here, whatever. So all of us took it, not all of us, we took it as an offense. And Mr. Wendell Eversley let her say no to hate speech in Port of Spain. I think that time we had walked around the Red House. I think we did that, and then we assembled in front, because so much marches I went that Mr. Eversley had. And he always got a large support from women, PNM women and men, right? We had a petition for members of parliament to sign saying that they are against no to hate speech. As the same as Davy was there. And we were crossing up and down the road when we see members of parliament coming in to tell them we are here to do and we sign. I remember MP Monroe signed. And I was back across the road and I saw Dr. Naim Gaspi walking into the compound of the Red House. Across the road, because the police was stopping vehicles first across, and across quick and I run across and went and he come and say, "Hi, Dr. Gaspi," and then we just sitting and she just walk and go away. And I was like, "Papa." So I went back across the road and Mr. Chance, Neville Chance, said, "What happened, John?" And I explained to him and he was like, "What?" That I said, "Yeah, Papa, I tell the woman," and she just, and I formed my impression from there, and I'll tell you why I formed my impression from there. Because Camille Robinson Reggie's missus is your colleague. She is a woman. She's a member of parliament just like you, always sitting down on the benches in front there. And if we are marching in defense of her, and all women by extension, and all people of African descent by extension, because we were disrespected, she was disrespected, the least you could have done is saying, "Well, no, I'm nothing, whatever," just walking off on me. It didn't all go well to me. Because Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis, when she came out of her vehicle, she came across the road to us. And she spoke with us, we cheer on, and we tell her she have our support. Mr. Hines and all came across. But that is your colleague. You just walk away. We even was talking to Khadija. I mean, I tell you, I was walking behind her and my mouth slipping to say, "Oh, God, fix your clothes," and look, I pull up and say, "Jennifer, don't say nothing." And she was interacting with us. She didn't sign it, but she was interacting with us and said she don't find nothing wrong and whatever the case may be. But Dr. Diane Gaspi shrugged me off and walked away. I'm not saying she had to talk to me, but I'm saying I got an impression from that. So it's not somebody told me that. The second interaction I had with her, we didn't talk to her, whatever, saying I said, "Oh," she passed straight. That is what she does to some people. She just watch you, she just walk past you straight. The next time I had a conversation with her, as I told you, it was at the Women's League conference at Mount Lambert. There I went. And she spoke, and she said things that were inaccurate in terms of she made it seem as if the PNM don't empower women. And I was like, and then when Lady Vice Chair, Ms. Camille Robinson Regis got up, she corrected that. She may have taken offense because when I heard the correction, I was like, "Papa, she did tell her." And she left from upstairs and went downstairs, whatever. But when I was leaving, she was in a corner down by the step there in the community center by herself. People to walking down the step and ignoring she. And I watched her say, and I went to her and said, "Hi, Dr. Gaspi, all right?" She said, "Yes, all right." I said, "Well, you did a program there where you bring back the social workers and things. You're not trying to me because I see she getting orders with herself. So probably that's why she answered me because I'm the only person talk to she. So it's not people tell me she has a standoffish appeal. I don't know, she doesn't understand that, she doesn't know. So nobody had to tell me. But After the interaction with her in the Red House, I started to observe the scene and realize, yeah, boy. And then people started talking, but it's not people tell me first. I see it for myself. So when I realized she's going up now for the position of Lady Vice Chair, and I studied this woman that she has to bring together and influence. You know how she moved there. She didn't support she owned. Madam Camille Robinson Regis, I saying it straight. I don't think she's the best person for that. So that is why I say I'm not supporting her. Don't vote for her. What is wrong in that? That's what people question me for. And again, to go back to the whole Stuart Young thing, he's my member of parliament. If I was in Miss Penelope Becker's constituency, I would have supported you for the political leader position because that would have been my member of parliament. If I was in Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis' constituency and she was entering the election as political leader, me would have supported you because that would have been my member of parliament. If I was in Marvin Gonzalez constituency, he was entering, well, how he is on the thing there now. Going up for whatever post I'm sure it is, me would have supported him because that would have been a member of parliament. And any other one of them who on the slate who is a member of parliament, if I was in their constituency and I voted for them and they're a member of parliament, I would have supported them in that because it's my member of parliament. I'm not in none of them constituency. I'm Stuart Young constituency. I voted for him from since 2015 to now. I get to interact with Minister Stuart Young because of my pumpkins. My pumpkins is Down syndrome. The first time I see, the second time actually, because there was a tongue meeting down Bass and I went to Queen's Hall and he was there. Patricia McIntosh, Mrs. was the member of parliament and he was there in the audience. I was presenting as a pedestrian when the UNC was building over Coblenz Bridge. That's where I saw him. And the next time I saw him was during the motorcade. In the area, my pumpkins wanted to be in the bacchanal. Me and he run down the road, run up something. The truck, meet up the truck. Stuart Young, the candidate, was on the truck with a mic saying who you're voting for. And he mistake, he take it and put it by Robert Mount, who was standing down to the bottom, well, looking up at the truck. And Robert said, we voting PNM. And Robert take the mic and start the PNM, whatever. And that was there. But the two of them, anyway we go, and Stuart Young, the candidate, saw my pumpkins, he will come out and they will hug and they talk and thing. I used to stand at the side, I never used to say nothing. I used to watch the interaction. It's there it come from. When I see how he treat my pumpkin who is Down syndrome, I said that individual has something there, because a lot of people don't treat my pumpkin, so I just pull my pumpkin close to me because I have some wicked people out here. I see I went down in what they had in Woodford Square during the election day. Somebody wanted my pumpkin to move and have a stick from a pole, a flag pole, and choking him with it. Listen to me now. Cost me thing. You see my pumpkins? Go to my pumpkin. Listen to me. I get so mad. Because why you need to choke him? You can come and touch him and tell him to move. Will you finish chopping? These things really I telling all you. So when somebody treat my pumpkins with respect, look, my pumpkins love Julia Davy. He does call she girlfriend from 91.9. You think if he see she in the road, I walk with tea and she stop to hug she, I go tell him don't hug she. I don't roll like that. That is not me. That's not what I do thing. So when they continue to cost me, because I support my member of parliament, and because I don't support them, it don't make no sense to me. All I support her, I have no problem with that. All I'm asking, send me something that shows me that she could do the job. If a plumber coming by me to do work and I don't know the plumber, and somebody send him, I asking people around, hey, John is a good plumber, or hey, John, and they say, no, he never really do nothing. I go be like, what? I say, we do. If one person come and say, yeah, nah, don't study them, boy. John come by me and he fix my toilet, thing, and then I go have confidence. What is so wrong with that? Me not no part of no game changer group, and no part of no red mobilization and red report. I'm not no part of them. I am a part of Let me talk the thing. That is my page. And then I have my Facebook with Jennifer Frederick. I don't have to hide behind nothing because me in line on nobody. So I just wanted to bring that there, and they could continue making the live and cuss me. I don't mind that, but just talk the truth. And stop telling people what is not true. Kareem Marcel have my support. Why will I not support him? But if there are things that he's doing, and I don't like it, whatever it is, I even go on Facebook and write up anything, whatever the case may be. But I will take my discretion. If I could see him and tell him, I will tell him, I don't like how he thinks. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? And I find he has handled the situation with the individual. I don't think he handled it the right way. You're now a member of parliament. We look up to you. You're not just ordinary Kareem Marcel, again, you're an attorney and you're a member of parliament. And there's certain things you don't do, no matter how upset you get. That is just my opinion. What is wrong with that? I didn't like how this Fitzgerald Hines situation was handled. It had nothing to do with Fitzgerald Hines being a Rasta man. Or me and Igoro. People feel, I don't know if they feel Igoro. That's not the point. It had to do with me with respect. Because I'm an elder too. There's a way to do things. That's my only concern. So that means I don't support Kareem Marcel because of that. That make any sense? That make any sense? So let me rest that in. So I'm saying that, and I keep saying again, I ain't doing nothing where I shame about it. Anything people I say behind somebody back, I could say it in front of the face because I don't be talking about people in a deceitful and dishonest way. So I didn't have a problem with talking about the phone call. Yes, I made that phone call. I called Miss Davy. Yes, I did. And that is what I told her. It has nothing to do with not supporting Kareem Marcel. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with me being concerned whether he making the right decision to jump into politics. He's still young as a lawyer. That's all it was about. And yes, I continue to say, I support my member of parliament. He's not in the race for whatever reason, but I support him. He's my member of parliament. What is wrong with that? Send and tell me what Ms. Beckers would have done so I can big she up on my shoulder. That's all I'm saying. And if I say, send me all the nice things, well, here what I'm rephrasing. Send me all the nice things that Ms. Probably I was asking the wrong question. So let me ask it over because sometimes communication is important. So let's send me all the nice things that the political leader of the PNM, Mrs. Penelope Beckers Robertson, has done. Send me all the nice things so I could talk about the nice things, right? So we'll see how she's a nice lady. So let me continue. Well, you know the PNM internal election is the 22nd, which is not far away. And there has been a lot of challenges with that elections. One side, the next side. And I'm seeing here, for the various reasons, I ain't feel to get into all that now. All I know it is well documented out there. So this was the Wednesday, the 18th of June, which is today, 2025, in the Express. Seals quits amidst PNM election wars. Beckers urged to step in. Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement Election Supervisory Committee, Michael Seals, has resigned. I think he's a doctor now, he has his PhD. So it's Dr. Michael Seals. The resignation, not medical, huh? The resignation comes amidst complaints from candidates about the election process for the PNM internal election. In his letter dated June 16th, and addressed to the election supervisory chairman, Richard Walcott, Seals, an attorney at law and former policeman, he was also the head, I think, of the Police Welfare Association. Oh, Lord. Right. And former policeman, gave no reason for his resignation. The letter merely said, reference is made to the above caption, the PNM internal election, June 22nd, 2025. And our last conversation following my attendance at a recently concluded election supervisory committee meeting at Balisay House, Port of Spain. Give me a minute, let me just drink a sip of water. Let's see if I remember where I reached. It is with great regret that I tender my resignation with immediate effect from the Election Supervisory Committee. Contacted yesterday, Seals, in response to questions about the reason for his resignation, said, I don't think I would want to say. There's nothing to say, and I think too much is being said. There are a lot of things being said that are adding a lot of fuel to the fire. My simple comment would be that I do not wish to participate in something that I do not have control over in terms of the supervisory committee. So I withdrew myself. I have to be respected in terms of my contribution to anything I'm doing. Attempts to contact World Cup were unsuccessful. Several candidates have expressed their satisfaction over the process used in the internal election. Yesterday, candidate for the position of General Secretary and former Minister Roger Boynes wrote to incoming PNM leader Penelope Beckers to complain about the situation. Beckers is leading a team of candidates called the Bring Back the Love One PNM team. All incumbents who are seeking to retain position on the party's executive are on Becker's team. They include General Secretary and Senator Foster Cummins, Interim Chairman Ian Gaspidoli, who is contesting the position for Lady Vice Chairman, PRO and Senator Faris Alwari, Irene Hines, Operation Officer, Patricia Alexis, Assistant General Secretary, and Indar Parasam, Election Officer. Also contesting on Becker's team are MP Marvin Gonzalez, Chairman position, and Senator Dr. Amy Brown, Vice Chair position. Many independent candidates are saying members of this team are being given an unfair advantage. The Election and Supervisory Committee, the ESC, gave 2 days for people to check the membership voter list. Sources said that in previous internal election, party members were given 2 weeks to check the list for their names. Sources said the problem was that the incumbents control the election process, although there is an election supervisory committee. The ESC failures in Boyne's letter to Beckers said, to date, several independent candidates have written letters to the chairman and or secretary of the ESC on numerous issues, including but not limited to: 1, the short time within which constituency groups were given the sanitized membership list, which was extended 1 day thereafter; 2, the election rules and regulations; 3, the actual advantage of candidates through incumbency over those who are non-incumbents. It has come to the attention of the independent candidates that there exists a list of members by constituency which contain contact information for the said members listed thereupon. The list is available to some candidates by dint of their incumbency and resulting access to information held at Balisay House or available to the offices they currently hold. This said list was not made available to the independent candidates, he said. The list available to independent candidates by the ESC does not include contact information, Boyne said. Noting this put them at a clear disadvantage. Boyne said the ESC had also failed, notwithstanding being called upon to publish election regulation and rules governing the election process. This included a failure to produce a sample ballot, a description of the device to be used for the marking of the ballot, confirmation of the electoral ink, or other means by which voters will be marked as having voted. The means by which voters will be identified to be national ID or otherwise. The means by which a scrutineer or returning officer shall determine a spoiled or as opposed to an invalid ballot. The means by which a challenge can be raised, among other things. As a result of these failings, we now invite you, your good self as political leader-elect, who we all support as our strong and just leader, to intervene and address what appears to be an absence of what is constitutionally required to be a free, fair, and transparent election process, and an absence of election regulation and or rules, which is fundamental in any democratic process of election, particularly enabling those involved to be satisfied that the process is standardized and provide clear, certain, and unambiguous guidance on the process and the means by which challenges can be addressed in a fair manner, he said. Boyle said it was reasonable to expect that Becker's intervention on these issues would be swift, just, and transparent in keeping with the highest tradition and constitutional requirements of the party. The People's Champion team, led by attorney Farai Hove Masaisai, yesterday wrote to the ESC, raising some of the same issues that Boynes did. These included unequal access to membership lists and lack of published election regulation rules. It also raised questions of minors, saying it was aware that there were persons under the age of 18 who were in the membership list. No matter how much all it costs and carry on, people are complaining. So it's nothing to do with me. It's not me. I just simply say that I think that the opposition leader is weak. The political leader doesn't have it because I've never seen her in that situation and nobody can tell me what she has done. So I could go on what I'm seeing. If I see something different, I will be the first one glad to come back and say, yeah. But I say what I said. What is the issue? My member of parliament is Stuart Young. Stuart Young don't have to give me nothing. Me ain't working for Stuart Young. Me not supported by no hierarchy, no pain. Me. I say what I say, how I say, when I say. Nobody don't tell me what to say and how to say and why to say. And my member of parliament certainly can't tell me what to say, how to say, and why to say. Right? So nobody no hierarchy, no pain and tell me what to say. Me had that kind of crowd. And I really don't want to be in the bosom of the PNM in them thing. I like which part I am on the outside. Because that kind of behavior I see happening there, I good. I good away. But I will talk on what is out here. I'll ask questions what is out here. So continue to cuss. That's okay. I also heard that the opposition leader will have said something to the effect that about her silence, that I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect that, listen, her silence is not a sign of, like weakness or anything. That is, she's listening. Nothing wrong with that. It's good to listen. It's really good to listen. Let me tell you how positive sometimes that silence and listening is. But I'm going to read another area that says something else. You see, we have to look at both sides, right? So let me see if I could get through this quickly because I want to get to the end of this. Even if I take a little 10 minutes. Let me get it. Where the thing? Thing today. Okay. Just now. All right. Let me just take my time with one. Not that. Okay. No. Don't tell me. Right. Silence. So it said here, silence in leadership is a powerful tool that, when used effectively, can foster active listening, thoughtful decision making, and a stronger sense of trust and respect within the team. It's not about being passive or unengaged, but rather about creating spaces for others to contribute, process information deeply, and to build a more collaborative environment. However, silence can also be detrimental. Silence can also be detrimental if it leads to missed opportunities, indecision, or a perception of avoidance. So silence in leadership encourages active listening. When leaders are silent, they signal that they are ready to listen and value the contribution of others, prompting team members to speak more freely and share ideas. It promotes thoughtful decision making. Silence allows for reflective and consideration of different perspectives before making decisions, leading to more informed and effective choices. Builds trust and respect. Leaders who demonstrate composure and thoughtful silence in challenging situations can build trust and respect by showing that they are in control and not easily swept or swayed by emotional pressure. Fosters a culture of collaboration. By creating spaces for others to speak and contribute, leaders can foster a more collaborative and inclusive environment where everyone feels valued and empowered. Enhances communication clarity. Silence can be used to create tension in conversation, which can encourage others to clarify their thoughts and perspectives. When leaders are silent, it allows for deeper understanding of the situation at hand and can reveal hidden information or perspectives. Potential downsides of silence in leadership. Missed opportunities. If leaders are silent when they should be speaking up, they miss important opportunities to provide guidance, share crucial information, or address critical issues. Excessive silence can be perceived as a lack of decisiveness, which can erode trust and create uncertainty within the team. Silence can be misinterpreted as a lack of engagement, disinterest, or even disapproval, especially if it is not accompanied by clear communication. If silence is used as a substitute for thoughtful action or communication, it can damage a leader's credibility and undermine their influence. When others need to be heard, create a space for team members to share their ideas and concerns. When emotions are high, silence can help to de-escalate tense situations and allow for a more rational discussion when processing information. Allow them time to reflect and deeper thinking before making decisions. When facilitating a group discussion, use silence strategically to encourage participation and ensure everyone has a chance to contribute. When negotiated, silence can be used to create tension and encourage the other parties to reveal their position. Ultimately, the effectiveness of silence in leadership depends on the context and the leader's ability to use it intentionally or strategically. It is a tool that, when wielded with awareness and purpose, can significantly enhance leadership effectiveness. So as I read here, silence is not really a bad thing. However, if you don't understand how to use silence effectively, you could run into serious problems. So I understand, because all of a sudden everybody, in a roundabout way, cussing Dr. Rowley. He was the most abusive and arrogant, and nobody could talk, and he bullied them. You're hearing all these things now. And as somebody said today, I think it was Freddie Ferrer, I was listening on the radio. Dr. I couldn't transition to, God rest his soul, George Chambers, rest his soul. It didn't have that kind of belittling of the leader's style and that kind of thing. Mr. Manning, rest his soul, and Dr. Rowley, they had differences of opinions and all that, but it didn't have belittling of Mr. Manning's leadership by Dr. Rowley. He didn't have that. But now, there's a belittling of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley by some of the same people who he gave them the political life. Our political leader, the political leader of the PNM, said she was in the political wilderness for 9 years or whatever. Who brought her out? Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, sending her to the UN as ambassador. Dr. Amy Brown. And the list goes on and on. Dr. Ryan Gatsby, Marvin Gonzalez. And today, some of them same people now, they're cussing Dr. Roy because he's too arrogant, he bullied them and all this kind of thing. Why you all need to do that? Why you all need to belittle him after you all stood up and said you thank him for his service and leadership and all that, and then you come out and do that. And then when people say you always something real, or they're getting upset, it's always sending mixed signals to us. One minute they're praising Dr. Rowley on his retirement, and some of the same people they're cussing him out now. You want democracy? Instead of 13, 12 people voting on you 13, you bring only 6, and the next 6 didn't know. When the vote get the interim people meeting, 2 people who vote, it's illegal for them to vote. You ain't do nothing. Yes, unopposed is the political leader. There's nobody to challenge you. Here's the political leader. You have a team. And the team consists of people who win the seat in the election. And then all they want nobody to tell all them nothing. As they talk against all them, cuss. Insult. And it's really always the one doing the bullying. So all they accuse Dr. Rowley of, same thing all they do now. And then all they want trust and say, bring the love. As I say again, you can have love, not bring the trust now. Love and is one team. You can have love, and you have no trust, and back and I'll go break up. So I'm just saying, while silence is good, and I read the positives of it and also the negative, I want to tell the opposition leader that you see when it comes to Parliament, Parliament is not a place. Parliament is not a place of silence. Let me tell you what is the meaning of Parliament. You don't go to be silent in Parliament. You go to constituency meeting or you go to meet the people, yeah, that is something different. They come to you with the issues, they talk to you, nothing wrong with that. You see, Parliament is not for silence. The word Parliament originates from the old French word parlement, which means talking or discussion. It's derived from the verb parler, also mean to talk. This term comes to be associated with formal assemblies where people gather to discuss, debate matters of state, eventually evolving into legislative bodies we know today. Therefore, the core idea behind the word parliament is one of assembly and discourse, reflecting the historical function of such bodies as places of decision, discussion. Decision-making and discussion. So, with all due respect, when you say that the silence and thing, I hear you, but that's not for Parliament. Because I'll tell you why. If you're using silence also in the Parliament, that could never be effective because then they don't register silence on the Hansard. The reason why you have to talk in Parliament so it could be registered on the Hansard that it was there, that you make a contribution. So silence is not a place for the Parliament. It might work on the outside when they go to meet members in the constituency, in the party group, and you listen to them. You get ideas, whatever. But in the Parliament, there's no place for silence because they don't register that on the Hansard. You have always heard members of the Parliament, whether upper house or lower house, you know what they say? They want the comment to be recorded on Hansard. They never say, You have to talk. So silence is not a place for the Parliament. Then there was some conversation that, when a mother just had to give a child a look, and that child know what the mother means. That is correct. Especially if you have a strict mother, don't make joke. But I want to use it in the context of the Parliament. So you have 12 members of Parliament. You're the opposition leader of those 12 members. You accept 13. If somebody, from the opposite side, the government side, come at one of your, quote unquote, for want of a better word, children, especially unjustly or talking foolishness, you have to address that. Yes, you might have another member sitting, but you as the opposition leader, you have to take charge of that and put in your thing to protect. You remember? Because I'll tell you how serious it is. When the Speaker of the House who we heard the history of him and found him, people on the outside, that he is not the best person to be the Speaker of the House, Speaker Jagdeo Singh. We heard nothing. Silence. Okay. But that Speaker of the House disrespected MP Kareem Marcel, Member of Parliament for Lavender West. Disrespected him. And I heard MP Marcel said he is going to, something, I want a better word, he's going to protect his opposition leader. He's correct, you should. But she didn't protect you in Parliament when Speaker of the House insulted you. We all heard the insult and we was like, who are you talking to? You know who stood in defense of MP Kareem Marcel? MP Ember and MP Stuart Young. And coming out of this, standing up to register the displeasure at what the House Speaker said, it is registered on the Hansard. You opposition leader, Madam Penelope Beckers, nothing was registered by you. When one of your children, because they say our mother just had to give an eye can be recorded in the Hansard. Nobody know what no eye is. No Hansard, you have to speak. You could get away with that as if you're in a meeting with the constituents and all that, but in Parliament you have to speak. So because MP Mbert and MP Young would have spoken out in defense of MP Kareem Marcel, a colleague, when he was disrespected by the House Speaker had no choice but to apologize. So this was yesterday in The Guardian. It says here, Standing Finance Committee Chairman Jagdeo Singh yesterday issued a formal apology to Lavender West MP Kareem Marcel after being accused by opposition members of making disrespectful and inappropriate remarks during the proceedings. The exchange occurred as MP Marcel, attempted to get clarity from Minister of Justice and Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General's Devnish Maharaj on how much of the 54 million requested as supplementary funding for legal fees would be used to pay attorneys for past matters versus future cases. However, before Maharaj could respond, Minister of Legal Affairs Saddam Hussain interjected, accusing opposition of hypocrisy for questioning government spending on legal services. I know today is Monday, but today is not the UNC Monday Forum. I know today is Monday, but today is not the UNC Monday Night Forum. Quip the Lavender West MP in response. That is MP Marcel. As MP Marcel attempted to press, and look, they talk all kind of thing, but they must have respect, but they put in his name as Marcel. They put in MP, okay. But they could talk about Kamala Prasad, so we must say honorable, and all them things. Can't call she Kamala, right? As MP Marcel, so I will put the MP. As MP Marcel attempted to press his inquiry further, Chairman Singh interrupted, commenting on MP Marcel's professional background. And this is what he said. I don't want to be even remotely, what is it? Deprecatory. I understand that you have recently been admitted to the bar. It would be difficult, if not impossible, for anyone given the context of the answer given to allocate percentile amounts of past and future. This remark prompted Port of Spain North Sentence West MP and former Energy Minister Stuart Young to object strongly. Mr. Speaker, what does a member being admitted to the bar have to do with anything? So is it that the only lawyer can speak? So is it that only lawyers can ask questions related to fees? MP Marcel, clearly frustrated, responded by repeating, shouting, "It's highly disrespectful." MP for Diego Martin Northeast and former Finance Minister Com Ember also condemned the chairman's intervention. Mr. Chairman, I have participated in at least 40 Finance Committee meetings already, 15 of which would have been under the UNC. This is the first Finance Committee meeting where I see the chairman, your good self, venturing opinions, seeking to clarify statements it made. It is simply wrong. It is wrong. Singh initially defended, that is Chairman Singh, the House Speaker, initially defended his action, saying, "All I can say is that I'm simply trying to help the process along. I'm simply adding context." But MP Imbert remained firm in his criticism. "Chairman, you are not supposed to get involved in this discussion." Recognizing the backlash, Chairman Singh, who is the Speaker of the House, conceded that his comments may have been inappropriate and offered an apology to MP Marcel. If you are of the view that for that I apologize sincerely, member of for Laventille West. I did not mean, and I said I meant, not at least deprecatory as possible. It was not intended to be that way. I simply was lending a context to the question because we have been spending a lot of time on a question that the two ministers have answered. Chairman Singh then move on to the next item on the agenda. So if MP Young, the one who they cussing me because I support, and all kind of things have to say, and MP Imbert, well, MP Imbert ain't even talk about what was said to MP Curry Marcel. He more spoke about, just let me see what else he spoke about. Because I can't remember all them things just now. He more spoke about the fact, that the chairman Singh was giving opinions, and he have no right to give opinions. But MP Young defended MP Marcel from the disrespect shown to him by the House Speaker, the chairman of the Standing Finance Committee. So it is recorded on Hansard that Curry Marcel, MP Marcel, would have been defended against the insult and disrespect by the Speaker of the House was chairing that committee. The opposition leader could have said something also and entered in it because them is she, we going at her mother again in the tech context. Them is she team. You is the head of that team and you voice nothing, you just simply, in my opinion, must you say, well, them say it, I don't have to say nothing. No, that is not how we rule. All for one, one for all. Give support because you is the opposition leader. And those are the things I just speak about. So cussing me wouldn't change these things that I would have said here. Those things are real. And if somehow they can't chew gum and speak at the same time, that has nothing to do with me. I am not the most educated. I don't feel educated more than nobody else. I just talk my green verbs, some words me can't pronounce sometimes, my tongue tied. I don't have a problem with all them things. Me feel like this, me had this, I normal. But talk the truth. Talk the truth. And I will say again, if nobody wasn't hearing, if MP Marcel, he can do everything to please me because he is not to please me. But if he does something that I is not in agreement with, and I find a space where I could tell him about it, I would do so. It doesn't mean that I don't support him. But he's a child to me. I will be 60 this year. He's a child to me. He could be my child and all. And if I see he doing something wrong, and I could give a word to correct because I was there when he come out, not out of the womb, out of all of justice. And if his mom felt it was important enough to call me, who I didn't really know the family, but to come to support with, to celebrate with them, I feel I invested a little bit in it too. So if I see him doing something wrong, MP Curry Marcel, I feel I can't cut the ass. I won't curse him or disrespect him. I feel like I pull him aside and say, I like what you do this. Whether he take it or not is irrelevant. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have my support. He's in the PNM. He's young. Why would I not give him that support? But also say, That's what mothers does do. That's what I could do. But when it comes to being in parliament and the political leader, it ain't no gain no iron silent. Parliament is to talk. Parliament is to talk. And they just discuss and discourse because they go on there to represent the constituents. When you go inside PNM meeting in Bali, say house, you could silent and listen. And you have other meetings. When in parliament, it ain't had that. It's to defend. It's to be proactive, and respond and keep the UNC in check with the information. Well, when you have to talk. So nobody coming to tell me she don't have to talk for everything. In parliament, she has to talk. Because if Stuart Young, MP, didn't speak out, the chairman, Jagdi Singh, would have get away with insulting MP Curry Marcel. The same Stuart Young always want to cuss, or does be cussing. Because at the end of the day, MP Marcel is a part of the team. Is a part of the team. So, let me just quickly here. I told you all about a psalm because I was talking in relation to the gentleman who he feel he was bigger than everybody and everything, and there's an equalizer in life. And this psalm I told you all about brings it home. I called the wrong psalm. It's Psalms 37. I was saying 137. It's just 37. But I did mention it kind of long. And I want you all to always take a read of it and read the words and understand. I'm just going to read about 3 or 4 verses. It says here, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. For evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. That is just 9 little verses there. Yeah? I live by that Psalms. That is why me, Jennifer Frederick, I fear the Most High Jah. Let me see all who here. Kim, Joel, Davison, Carol, Angela, Philo, Alice, Bernadine, Gretel, Owen, Dr. Lloyd Straker, Ruth Finn, Diane, Tessa, Diamond, Trini, Jewels, Kathleen, Denise, Miss Angela Rodriguez Lacroix, Anne-Marie, Hallister, Joan, Candice, Brian, Maria, Christopher. Rick, were you behaving yourself today? If you wasn't behaving yourself, I'll take back all the name. Lenore, Philomene, Kathleen, Balti, Arlene, Lucian Stewart, Anne, Janet, Linda, Hazel, Hadara, Galen, Caroline, Anton, Emmeline, Keith, Lyndon. Let me run across quickly here. We're going to have to do some real gymnastics here. Give me a minute. Let me see who I gave on the chat with Bounce Up. Oh, yeah. That is fantastic. We're giving people a platform to have their conversations. Let me see. Bounce up. Let me see all who here. McDonald. This is from Bounce Up now. So Donna, Sadina, McDonald, Was it Rookman? Long time you see Rookman named by Raymond, David Clark, Valerie Bowen. Who again? Yes. Yeah. Natasha Scott Herbert, and we have Natasha Burnett, Athea, that's it. I hope I'm pronouncing properly. Again, Miss Diane. Who again? Wayne. You see, I forget all it today. I always forget. Lisbon, Shah, Wayne Gibson, Florence, High Hill, Benji, Marlene, Larry, Marge, Sherilyn. Yeah. Thank you all so much. Those are persons on Bounce Up. All those who are truly locked into Let Me Talk the Thing, continue to listen. Share the live. I'm not seeing only sharing the live. It's good only listening. If you like the thing, share it also. Let other people hear, right? I went a little long today because I needed to get everything out and treated with that. So people, do have a blessed night. See you all on Friday. God's gonna come with something fresh, something new. This is Gil Jensen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. If you want to get formulas, Miss Jennifer Fetching. And tomorrow is Labor Day. I stopped going to Labor Day, honestly. But I used to love going. I stopped going to Labor Day. But it is what it is, and we hope to see on the platform tomorrow that instead of sort of political speeches, they could actually speak about the labor movement and what they have in place if they're going to go back to the tripartite table where Leroy Batiste walk away from. I don't think as Minister of Labor he will be there, but who knows? Let's do things anyhow. They have no order. But he would have walked away, one of the persons walk away from the table where union was with all different social partners and the government to treat with issues relating to media, to labor. And now he spoke at Geneva or somewhere there and he bringing it. I just hope they did a check on him and see the kind of creature that he is. So people, hi Glennis, Maria, Darlene, Didi, everybody. And Paul, I just see something with Paul. I go and love you. Annette, everybody, good night, Miss Bernadine, hey, all you know coming out our. I go to my bed. Have a blessed one. I love all. See you all on Friday. God spare. I think Friday is Corpus Christi, so we go talk, yeah? Love you all to bits. Bye.
Dauntless Defenders of Good Governance. Join host Fearless Warrior and the Dauntless crew every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Be sure to tune in as we continue our coverage of the PNM internals and interview candidates vying for a seat in the elections. Join us as candidates enter the Dauntless Groff, the Gael Ring of Fire, and face the Bounce Up audience crew. Watch as they run the Dauntless Gauntlet to be judged. Will they get blah? Bus head, a big up your whole self, or just a map? Join us to see who will be the next warriors to dare to face the fire. Come armed with the burning questions you want the candidates to answer. Watch the show live on our Bounce Up Central platform and social media channels, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Keep the conversation going before, during, and even after the show. Chat in real time on our 24-hour live chat on Bounce Up Central at bounceup.com. Bounce Up Central, the community platform that's We Ting, created for we, by we.